The reason why no one has hobbies anymore. People, what up? What's good? It's your boy TwoCentz. We got a very interesting topic here from Spencer's Adventure, man, talking about hobbies. Before we even get into it, right, I feel like it, everything that you would want to do as a hobby, in the past, for example, things like collecting cards or action figures or whatever that may be, it's just way too expensive now. Like every single hobby I feel like has been monetized. Even YouTube, bro. Like, I guess this counts as a hobby, because at least on this channel I'm not getting paid anything. Like, I do this for fun. I watch videos I'm interested in, try to do some decent commentary, but like even then, at the same time, I'm hoping at some point I could get monetized on this YouTube channel. But that's enough out of me, man. Let's get into it, bro.
Why exactly is it that no one seems to have real hobbies anymore? When I talk to people about what they do for fun, most of the time all they can show me is a meme that they saw on the internet or tell me about the latest show they've watched on Netflix. And honestly, folks, I find
That's another thing too, y'all. Our attention spans are messed up, bro. So it's easier, or I don't know, it's easier, and we would rather scroll, right, than work on cars for fun, or you know what I'm saying, I don't know, cut the grass on the block, or whatever you consider reading, right? Whatever actually takes more than 3 seconds of your attention, right?
kind of sad, and it makes me think that we're living through the slow death of hobbies, and that is the subject of today's video. First, if you don't know me, I'm Spencer, and I like to talk about simple living, frugality, and digital minimalism. So first, let's talk about the disappearance of hobbies, where this all started. One of my favorite authors is Jack Kerouac, and I just love reading his work because he lived a very inspiring and exciting life. The guy hopped trains, he was a mountaineer, he spent a lot of time at poetry readings and jazz clubs. He practiced Zen Buddhism, and he even spent time as a fire lookout. And with all of that, he still found time to write all of his books. In my mind, that is truly living. That is sucking the marrow out of life. Jack Kerouac said it best. He wanted to burn, 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 just like a Roman candle, and that he did. And compare that to today, where the average person is spending 4 to 6 hours of each day staring at their screens. Right. Back then, authors like Jack Kerouac and even Edward Abbey, another person who I'm a huge fan of, they were highly critical of television because they knew that staring at that glowing screen was a trap. And the way that we have glued ourselves to our screens in 2025, it's the same thing, except it's even worse. And while some people could argue that watching Netflix, like watching movies and shows, is partly a hobby, I would beg to differ. Look, if you spend hours a day watching Netflix, I don't think you're necessarily a cinephile, okay? I'm not trying to be judgmental, and you definitely can watch movies and get value and pleasure out of those things. I'm not going to argue that. I work in the film industry. But for the average person, they don't give you any sense of accomplishment or meaning, and I think we've almost numbed ourselves to all of this content that—
Well, and I hear what he's saying, right? Do you need to feel accomplished in order for it to be considered a hobby? Like, if I just like the way these, these little Jordans that I had since a baby, look, and I just, just start buying these, just off the strength of being interested in the way they, the silhouette or whatever. I don't feel accomplished, but that's still a hobby. So I don't know if I'm buying it. I don't know if I'm buying his reasoning. I'll keep listening.
We don't even really get much value from it.
Let me run it back a little bit, y'all. My fault.
Work in the film industry. But for the average person, they don't give you any sense of accomplishment or meaning. And I think we've almost numbed ourselves to all of this content that we don't even really get much value from it at all. For the most part, watching content like that, it isn't a hobby. It's just another way to fill time. And that's unfortunately what most of our lives have become. And I guess in a sense, hobbies are another way just to fill your time.
Right.
But it's a way that you're not going to feel regretful about spending it. So why is it that hobbies are disappearing, or at least flattening, to the point that everybody is pretty much spending their time in the same way, looking at their devices? Honestly, I think the main reason that hobbies are disappearing is because of the fact that boredom itself is disappearing. We used to have this almost acute boredom, where there was actually this I have nothing to do but stare at the wall and
Right.
watch paint dry, essentially. There's literally nothing in front of me to occupy my time with. There was nothing better to do either, so you filled that time with a hobby. Of course, you could just watch TV in that time. You could stare at a glowing screen, just like people like Edward Abbey and Jack Kerouac critiqued people for doing. But at that time, we
Maybe you could, you know what I'm saying? If you had if you were allowed to watch TV during the week, right? Y'all, I'm 23, right? I feel like if you're let's say within 4 years younger to 4 years older than me, like we're probably the last group of people that were we could actually be bored. Like anything younger, I say than 18, you were never bored as a kid. Phones everywhere, iPads everywhere, computers access everywhere. By then, like people weren't really going outside no more. Like, yeah, man, there is value in just sitting with yourself and not thinking about anything, or for not doing something rather. You could be thinking about stuff, but like just not doing, just like chilling out for just a few minutes or like 30 minutes. Like, yeah, that I don't know if that'll ever like come back on a grand scale. Obviously, there's yoga and meditation and you know what I'm saying, all that stuff. But like actually, like kids being bored, that's over with.
weren't carrying around that type of device on our person at all times just to fill boredom whenever it came up. Nowadays, we don't have that level of acute boredom because when boredom arises, we can fill that with our devices. We have this endless stream of content that we can occupy ourselves with, content that really doesn't motivate us to do anything more but consume. And that's the problem, I think. Our phones don't really kill boredom, but they kind of perpetuate that new kind of constant chronic numbness.
Right.
That constant stream of content is not going to give you fulfillment. And I think that's why people feel so lost and so isolated and meaningless with our devices, even though we're more connected than ever, because we've actually lost the thing that feeds us, that gives us any sort of fulfillment at all. There's also a second part.
Now, okay. So now that he's explaining it that way, like I think I kind of understand what he means, like by not classifying like watching movies all day or being on your phone all day as like a hobby. So yeah, I guess I get it then.
To this. Another thing that I think is to blame with the loss of hobbies, and I think that is hustle culture, and it's a statement on our economy.
Yeah.
One of the reasons that hobbies are kind of dying out is because people are turning their hobbies into something that they can
Exactly.
monetize as a side hustle so they can get by. In my mind, there is a difference between a hobby and a job, even if you like the job you're doing. Hobbies don't really have any pressure around them. They're supposed to be an activity that allows you to disconnect from all those stresses and
Yeah.
relax yourself. And I think in a way, side hustle culture has kind of poisoned the idea of doing something just for the fun of it. If you paint and you paint well, people tell you to start selling them on Etsy. If you like photography, then hey, you should get into taking wedding photos. And hey, of course it's great to make a living doing something that you love, but not everything in your life should be about money. I think it's important to pick a couple of hobbies in your
It
life.
shouldn't, right? It shouldn't. It's just like, again, bro. Even the guy he brought up, I didn't do any research into the author, right? That you can see in the little thumbnail, right? But people back in the day, like they could work a job and afford to live, and afford to take care of their family, and afford to go on vacation and do X, Y, and Z, and actually afford to have hobbies. Like, the main reason why everything is about, man, I can't just collect these cards. I gotta sell them. I can't just paint. I gotta sell paintings. Is because like you literally can't afford to have fun, bro. Like and it's messed up, man. It really is.
Life, things that you enjoy doing that you've completely disconnected from the profit motive and that you can just enjoy for the fun of it. So with that, folks, what do? How do we get back in touch with real hobbies and finding things that bring us fulfillment outside of our devices? First, you need to get real on what constitutes a hobby. To start, scrolling is not a hobby, and I don't think Netflix really counts as a hobby either. Shopping should not be considered a hobby. Hyper-consumerism and infatuation about the next thing to buy should not be considered a hobby hobby, and we should not be giving people any praise for doing that. Now, another great YouTuber who made a video on this topic, according to Nicole, check out her channel if you haven't. She's a Toronto local and she's great. In her video, she said that cooking and exercise should not count as hobbies either. And I'm a little bit mixed on that. Her points definitely make sense. She's saying things like exercise, things that you should be doing for your health anyway, just kind of as that bare minimum to be a healthy, happy person. And things like cooking, just getting food and preparing it so that you can live, those shouldn't be hobbies. They're a sad excuse for a hobby, at least in her point of view. I don't think that's necessarily the case. I think that things like that can definitely be great starts to hobbies, and you can have multiple different things that light you up, that you spend your time doing, that you're interested and curious about. And I think exercise and cooking complex kind of fun foods, that can be something there for sure.
At the end of the day, you guys, I don't think we can ever all agree on what can be considered a hobby or not. Because like everybody just views things differently, bro. You know what I'm saying? So I can't even be mad at bro for saying what he considers a hobby, or this lady for saying that she doesn't consider exercise and cooking. Like, I guess we just all gonna have a different mindset about it. But the fact of the matter is, like, we should be able to do things not thinking about monetary gain, or not worried about if I do this, then I'm not gonna be able to afford this, so I need to spend my time doing that. Or like, I think that's what it comes down to. And I feel like the economy definitely has to get fixed. I'm not a economics expert or whatever you call it, so I don't know how that's gonna work. But yeah, it's I feel like it's a lot of things, like our attention spans have to come back. It's a lot of things that are gonna need to change in order for hobbies, right? Whatever you consider hobbies, to be back.
Where I agree with Nicole is that I don't think that should be your only thing. I think ultimately you should work to have a few different hobbies that you like to do, so you're able to do these things throughout your days and fill your time with pleasurable activities that give you fulfillment. If your entire life is just looking at your phone, watching streaming services, and then cooking a meal, or maybe going for a run, that's the only things that you do, yeah, that's probably not going to ultimately be enough. But there's no reason to say that learning how to cook like a chef at a restaurant or getting a really built out fitness regimen couldn't be part of your hobby portfolio, let's say. But going beyond that, trying to find out what hobby is best for you, I think you need to start by looking backward. Think back to a time before we were all glued to our phones, and think about those activities that you liked doing then. If you're young enough that you don't really remember a time where that was the case, then just think back to when you were a kid. Did you like going out on hikes and looking at bugs?
Man, these kids don't go outside, bro. These kids don't do any of this that we see on the screen. That's not happening.
Watching the clouds go by. Or maybe you like doodling and drawing, making funny pictures. That's something that I like to do. You might not find all of your hobbies this way, but it's a good place to start. Another thing that you can ask yourself is, if money didn't matter, what would I like to do with my time? In my case, it's things like playing guitar or hiking or wildlife photography. But what if you've gotten to a point where you just feel so disconnected from the things that bring you meaning and purpose that you don't even know where to start when it comes to new hobbies? Here, I think the best thing to do is to just have some fun, try to be curious, and explore some new things. Something that I can suggest from my own life is just taking a class on something that you're even remotely interested in and trying it out. For my birthday this year, my girlfriend put me in a Japanese mending class called Sashiko Mending. This was basically something that was supposed to take me a little bit out of my comfort zone so I could learn a new thing, but it was also aligned with something that she knew was an interest of mine, which was mending my clothes and making them last. Sashiko Mending is a Japanese style of mending garments where you're actually just sewing a design as well into the fabric that you're adding to your garment to kind of give a nice beautiful look to it while also repairing and making that fabric last. The class took a couple hours on a Sunday. I had a great time meeting some new people who were also interested in similar things. I learned a little bit of skills along the way, and it gave me a little more confidence while I'm mending my clothes. That being said, I can't say I'm an artist when it comes to Sashiko Mending, not at all. The other thing that I did this year was I gave my girlfriend a pottery class for both of us to take for her birthday. Pottery was something that we both wanted to try. We both kind of have this idea of having all of our dishware made by hand, made by us, which I thought would be really
That
fun.
would
And this
be
was a good way
fire.
to get started and learn the ropes. Now I can say after that class, I am definitely not a master potter by any stretch. We did a hand building class, so we weren't using a wheel or anything like that, but I did make this little espresso cup out of the whole thing, and I'm pretty happy about how it turned out. It's definitely a little bit funky, but it's mine and I can drink out of it. Now, am I going to become a professional potter after doing this? Is this going to become a lifelong hobby of mine? No, but it doesn't also have to. You don't have to put a lot of pressure on a hobby like that it's something that you have to do every single day or every week or every month even. Hobbies really just have to be doing something that you're excited or curious about. And that could be anything, and it doesn't have to be one thing all the time. I do think that we are seeing a slow death of hobbies as we see more and more people just moving to using their devices for every little bit of how they interface with the world. I think we're seeing this flattening where everybody pretty much is just doing the same thing to pass the time. And I think that's sad. The truth is that everybody knows that looking at a screen isn't fulfilling. And the reason that we have a mental health crisis in our world is in part because of that fact. But folks, the solution really isn't complicated. Put down your device and just follow anything that you're curious about and just do that thing for the fun of it. There should be no pressure to make any money at it. And I can tell you from experience, you don't even have to be good at it. You just have to have fun, because that's what a real hobby is. And that's where real meaning and fulfillment begins. So I hope you enjoyed this video, folks. Let me know.
Shout outs to Spencer's Adventures, man. And if you're broke and you can't afford to do anything, you can always take a walk, put your headphones in and vibe out, man. But hope y'all enjoyed the video. Let me know what your hobbies are in the comments. As always, it's your boy 2Centz. Say it with me, TCZ. We out.